Hello and welcome to 15 for 15. I am your host, John Zalkin from RKW Residential. 15 for 15 is a new and exciting video series where we interview 15 influential real estate people for 15 minutes each, where we will get their perspective on what is happening in real estate during COVID-19. A little bit about RKW. RKW Residential is an award-winning third-party multifamily property management firm with over 20,000 multifamily units under management in a growing footprint spanning 6 states. RKW delivers expertise in multifamily management through its technology, marketing, and customer experience platforms. My guest today is Jeff Goldberg from the Milestone Group. Jeff is a co-managing partner of the Milestone Group and co-chairman of Milestone's investment committee. Jeff has over 33 years of experience in the real estate industry. Jeff focuses the strategic direction, acquisitions, and asset management activities of the company. Jeff, it is so great to see you, and thank you for joining me on this episode of 15 for 15. I'm really looking forward to sitting down with you and hearing your thoughts and ideas on the multifamily sector, and just really getting your idea and thoughts on where we stand today and where we're going. So just if you want briefly, just touch on your bio a little bit. I know it's extensive, and then let's dig into our questions.
Sure. John, thanks for having me. When I say it's good to see you, that is true, but the truth is it's good to see anybody. So thanks for having me. Look, it is like I'll just tell a little bit about me and Milestone, but when I hear you talk about my bio, I go, God, who is that old guy you're describing? Because it's a little out of body. But Milestone has been a multifamily owner, and we used to be an operator for 20 years, and so we have seen cycles, and so when we go through something like this, what I think is comforting, certainly for me and my partner and our employees, is you sort of draw from your past experience, and what we try to do is, guys, let's not panic. Let's understand what we've seen in the past, and let's take that experience and apply it here today. So today we own property across the country in vastly different markets. So from Washington D.C., Charlotte, Atlanta, through Florida, Texas, Phoenix, and you can imagine different markets are experiencing different things, and quite frankly, also at different times. And so what we're trying to do is get very granular right now. We have the benefit of talking to folks like you to understand what you're seeing in your 20,000 units, but then compare it with our units and certainly other partners that we work with across the country.
Perfect. Well, you segued into the next thing the thing I wanted to start off with about, which was the two different things. The NMHC just came out with their numbers, and JLL did a really great study on the rent collections as of the 5th. So I'll read the multifamily housing, and then you tell me where this fits within your portfolio and your thoughts on, is it going to be better than April, or right around the same, or potentially worse? Reported that 69% of households had paid their rent either partially or in full by April 5th, compared to 81% that had paid by March 5th of 2020. Now, the statistics from JLL, Class A rent was marked as paid at 87.5%. Class B was marked as paid as 83.7%. And Class C was marked as paid as 76.6%. So in your vast portfolio, are you seeing similar numbers? And if you aren't, what are your numbers? And are you seeing any trends in any properties from different locations?
Sure. So just to give everyone at least a good perspective, our portfolio is really sort of A and B properties in suburban locations, typically near job nodes, typically, all major primary and secondary markets, good job growth, good population growth. And so when all of this started, I think just like everyone out there, we were really concerned about the impact to our tenants, to our residents. With the level of unemployment filings that we've seen, I think everybody was holding their breath. What is the impact? Who can pay? What's going to happen? And so we've gone from an acquisition oriented company to we're all asset management. Literally every day we have a collections meeting talking about what does the portfolio look like? Do we have any concerns? What do we need to do? And in touch with property management, making sure that everyone is in sync. And our statistics are not very far off from yours. We've been really pleased at the resident response. First and foremost, we've gone out to all of our residents and we've said, we recognize this is a difficult time for everybody. Whether you've lost a job or you haven't lost a job, this isn't life as we all know it. And so we at least want to acknowledge the challenges that we're all experiencing. But for those that really are experiencing challenges, whether you actually have gotten sick or you've lost your job because of the virus, we want to make sure that we're there and let's have a conversation if you guys need help. And a vast majority of the tenants have come back, and in our cases, we are in the mid to high 80s, where people have paid on time for April's rent. And then for the small statistic of folks who actually need help, what we were really impressed with was people aren't asking for forbearance for multiple months. They've come back and said, look, we really appreciate your flexibility. We want to pay. We think the government checks are coming in, or unemployment checks are coming in, whatever the situation is, and we expect to be able to pay by the end of the month. And so there's really, we've seen, no one really asking for a lot, and certainly very little abuse within the whole system.
And do you think this trend, what do you think May's going to look like? 'Cause I know we have 3 weeks, and 3 weeks in this new world we live in is an eternity. But that's what we're starting to try to trend out and see. I'd love to hear that. And also, if you can answer just from the management side, as being a management guy, is all the initiatives, the outreaches, and all that. Was that? I know you guys had a very large management company that you had sold, so your management, you think like management. But was this something management brought to you guys, or was this something that you brought to your management companies? I know you use third party, the individual management companies, and say, look, as a company, these are what we're rolling out across our vast portfolio.
Right. So what we've tried to do is, best in class ideas, and so we work with multiple management companies, and what we try to do is when we think someone has a really good idea, or if we really like an idea, we'll then go to multiple management companies and say, we think you should be, trying to do this. And look, one of the things that got, some very good response is, we recognize that our residents don't have access to, the amenities that they used to. Certainly, whether it's the gym or whether it's the clubhouse or being able to grab coffee or, any of the, going to the pool, any of the things that were, I'm sure, one of the cornerstone reasons why they've selected our complex. And so what we did was we actually, went around to a good number of the residents or all the residents in various properties, and gave them, a gift card saying, we just want you to know we're thinking about you. We know that you're not experiencing normalcy. Here's a gift card to, Maria's Takeout Coffee, right down the block. We just want you to know, we hope this brings a little sunshine to your day, and we're thinking about you. And I think that was really well received by the resident. And we think that, quite frankly, Maria's down the block really appreciated, some additional business. And I think the two really came together. The residents appreciated us, helping out locally as well. So with regard to your question on May, look, I don't know if I look a little pale on the screen, but I've been holding my breath for the last 10 days. And I feel like I'm going to be holding it again for, another 25 days. I do think that May could be a little bit more painful than April. There is a subset that believes that by the end of the month, all of the government assistance will kick in. And we've done calculations, and for a majority of our tenants, they're getting a raise. And if they're not getting a raise, they're really they're getting some real assistance to what they normally would be bringing in. So so they're going to be in a pretty solid financial position. We also do recognize that the reality of the situation does set in by May. So I am in the camp that believes that May is going to be good, as good as April. I think there's others, even in my shop, that are concerned about the challenges of collection. But we've said to the tenants that we're trying to stand by them every step of the way.
So I'm kind of in your camp where I'm hoping, or hope is not a strategy, as we like to say. But my concern is, my biggest concern is people are getting, like you said, a raise, they're getting money, they're getting in. Is, do they decide to keep that money in their bank because they know they're not going to have money coming in the following month to pay groceries on their electric bill? And this will lead me into my next question regarding the agency debt, because most places, we're sitting here in South Florida, and you can't evict somebody right now. And I think a lot of people understand that, and they're seeing on the press where they're working with the mortgage companies, where they're going to furlough some of the mortgages and the renters. And some of the states are even saying they want to give a renters holiday. And I know Fannie and Freddie, the agencies, have come out with some guidelines, and I know you're very familiar with it. If you could just touch a little bit on that, where you see this going in terms of that, and how it can help or hurt someone like yourself and other owners with agency debt.
Right. So we are big Fannie and Freddie borrowers, and so we've been in touch with them, really wanting to make sure that we understood the approach that they were comfortable with regard to residents. And our biggest concern really weren't the tenants that couldn't pay. We want to help in that situation. The real question is, it's the bad actors. Right. And what is the policy? What is the position? And I think across the board, everyone is taking the position that if someone can pay, they should be paying. And so with that in mind, we really are taking the approach that those that need help will get help. Those that don't have a contractual obligation. And that's the approach that we've been taking with everybody. And I got to tell you, we have not seen abuse in the system. Now, I do know that our target markets are the Sunbelt states. Those smile states. Just draw a smile. Down from the Mid-Atlantic down to Florida, over to Phoenix, Arizona, and that's really where our bread and butter is. That's really where our footprint at Milestone is. So we are not in the big urban areas. And when you hear about the conversations about rent strikes, or residents thinking that they should be getting full abatements, it's really in those locales. We have not even none of our residents have even approached abatement. I think they're all appreciative of forbearance. So so we are really approaching this. We do not want to go to Fannie and Freddie for assistance. That is the last thing that we want to.
So if you don't go to Fannie and Freddie for assistance, then you can do anything you want with evictions, or you're not your hands on time on your back. But if you take money, or you take a forbearance from Fannie and Freddie, or reduction, then you have to abide by those guidelines.
Right. So if you're asking for forbearance, then you need to provide forbearance for your residents. And so so not only do we not want to go there for as a policy, Milestone has never, even in the downturn in 08 and 09, we've never had an issue like that. We've never giving back property. We never want to be in that position. But putting that aside, we also don't want to be in a position where we're forbearing on folks that, quite frankly, are bad actors.
Perfect. Well, Jeff, I told you 15 minutes flies by, right? We could do this for 15 hours. I really appreciate you coming on. Now, look, I want to give you the lightning round questions. This is where I ask quick questions, yes or no, over unders. You ready for your lightning round?
I don't know. Given that the most interaction I've had are with my 11-year-old kids, I'm ready. Fire away.
Let's go. Does the 10-year treasury close over or under 1% by the end of the year?
Under.
Next time you're on an airplane, over under 90 days?
The next time I'm on an airplane?
Yeah.
Over.
Next time you attend a networking event, over under 90 days?
Over.
Next lunch or dinner at a restaurant with a client, over under 90 days?
Boy, I hope it's under.
All right. Is the election suspended, yes or no?
No.
Does Trump win or lose?
I'm telling you, man, going into this, I thought he was unbeatable. There's a big Achilles heel. So I think it's going to be a really interesting election. I think he's beatable.
Okay. Does the stock market end over or under 20,000 by 2020?
Over.
Does the U.S. COVID infection rate go over or under 500,000 in the United States?
Infection rate or over?
And do you think you will be on vacation in the next 6 months?
Please, God, yes. Yes.
Perfect. Jeff, I really want to thank you for joining me today on this episode. You lived up to my expectations. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks for having me. And it really is great seeing you.
Absolutely. Everyone, we hope you all stay safe and practice social distancing and make sure to wash your hands. If you have any questions or would like to find this video, please visit rkwresidential.com.